Even in the dead of night, the Nevada desert is never truly silent. Beneath the wind and the empty highways, there is a constant, low-frequency hum. Locals call it the sleeping engine, a vibration too deep to hear but entirely impossible to ignore. Most people brush it off as hidden military generators or classified aircraft. Decades of pop culture have trained us to look at this restricted stretch of sand and imagine crashed weather balloons and secretive alien research labs. That surface-level noise was exactly what 28-year-old Ethan Cole spent his career trying to cut through. As an investigative journalist based out of Las Vegas, he dedicated his life to documenting unexplained disappearances and military cover-ups across the state. But every single inquiry into Groom Lake ended the exact same way. Dead phone lines, cryptic anonymous warnings, black SUVs idling outside his apartment. The perimeter was an absolute wall of silence. Thousands of investigators had spent decades probing the exact same fences and watching the exact same airspace, finding nothing. Area 51 remains a total blind spot, largely because everyone has been looking in the wrong place. The break in the pattern arrived in the form of a plain brown envelope left at Ethan's door. No stamp, no return address. Inside was a faded map of the desert and a short, handwritten note. Looking at this satellite view of the Groom Lake facility, the note's instructions mapped out a location exactly 20 miles north of the main complex. The message alongside it was specific. The truth is not above the base, it is below it. Midnight, come alone. That single coordinate rendered 30 years of surface surveillance completely useless. To find what was generating the hum, Ethan had to physically and intellectually step away from the fences and head into the dark. At midnight, Ethan drove down a remote highway to an abandoned coordinates, an abandoned radio tower surrounded by broken concrete. Waiting for him in the shadows was an old man in a military coat, Dr. Harold Vance. Vance had worked under the desert from 1987 to 2003. He confirmed Ethan's wildest suspicion. The runways and hangars of Groom Lake were a multi-billion-dollar decoy. The real facility was buried 5 miles underground. Vance led him through a concealed hatch beneath the tower. The rusted metal stairs quickly gave way to a freezing, pitch-black tunnel. The walls were constructed of a smooth, self-illuminating obsidian that showed 0 human tool marks. This photograph captures the 1962 Sedan nuclear test, a 104-kiloton blast that moved 12 million tons of earth. While the public saw a crater, the military's seismic sensors recorded a massive, unnatural void directly beneath the detonation point. These craters across the Nevada test site mark where the Earth collapsed into that void. When engineers finally reached the bottom, they found an architectural structure buried so deep it predates humanity. The government had cordoned off this sector of the desert to play landlord to an ancient, non-human ruin. At the end of the tunnel, heavy metallic doors split open to reveal a colossal chamber. Towering crystal pillars cast a pale light across the room. Hovering directly in the center, completely unsupported, was a massive black sphere. Vance called it the core. It functioned as a high-frequency transmitter, broadcasting visions of dying planets and silver cities directly into Ethan's mind. Before Ethan could process the images, red lights flooded the cavern. A piercing alarm echoed through the structure as heavily armed soldiers in unmarked black uniforms stormed the chamber. The security protocol reacted to Ethan's presence instantly. The core monitors the biological frequency of the mines around it, and Ethan's curiosity acted as a catalyst. The hum of the sphere deepened, its surface rippling like liquid shadow. The cavern walls suddenly projected living windows into spinning galaxies, and a massive telepathic voice thundered into Ethan's skull. "We have found the gateway." The soldiers raised their weapons, but they were entirely powerless. The military was running an impossible, failing containment protocol on a telepathic interface, and Ethan had just accidentally triggered the mechanism. The black sphere split violently down the middle, folding outward to reveal a swirling, impossible portal of pure starlight. Tall, elongated figures, formed out of shifting silver light, began stepping through the void. The Black Ops soldiers immediately opened fire, but their bullets dissolved into ash inches before striking the entities. Gripped by terror, Vance shouted the grim reality over the alarms. These entities are ancient cosmic prisoners, and humanity has unknowingly been guarding their cage. One of the silver beings locked its glowing eyes on Ethan. The voice boomed directly into his thoughts once more, laced with brutal irony. You seek truth. Truth opens all doors. The very psychological trait that drives human journalists and scientists forward, the relentless need to uncover secrets, was the exact frequency these prisoners required to break their containment. The underground structure began tearing itself apart. Energy surged upward, violently splitting the desert sand above and shooting a blinding column of white light miles into the Nevada night sky. This animated diagram illustrates how the termination device Vance handed to Ethan functioned. To sever a dimensional connection line and shut down the core, the detonation had to occur from inside the portal itself, collapsing the gateway back on itself. With the entities advancing and the temperature plummeting, Ethan sprinted past the soldiers and leapt into the gateway. He experienced a microsecond flash of universal history, pyramids, cosmic wars, and Earth from orbit, before he pressed the trigger and a blinding explosion swallowed the chamber. 3 days later, the news cycles reported a localized earthquake and a meteor strike north of Groom Lake. The government sealed the perimeter tighter than ever before. Ethan Cole was permanently gone. Today, the surface of the restricted zone remains completely silent. But every night, deep beneath the sand, the sleeping engine continues to hum, waiting, listening, searching for the next seeker of truth to complete the circuit.